Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. Today's case is one that really stays with you. It happened in Ujjain, India, back in 2018. Priya Sharma, a pregnant woman just 26 years old, was found murdered. And get this, on the surface, they seemed like the perfect couple.
It's a truly disturbing case, and the victim, Priya Sharma, was 6 months pregnant at the time, excited to become a mother for the first time.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. Can you tell us more about Priya's life before the murder?
Well, everyone who knew Priya described her as kind, loving, just a bright light. She had been married for 3 years, and outwardly, they looked like the perfect couple.
Yeah. So outwardly, a happy marriage. But then on March 17th, 2018, everything changed. Can you walk us through that night?
Just imagine you're Priya's neighbor. You haven't heard from her all day, which is unusual, right? So we knock, and there's no answer, just silence. You call the police, and what they find is like something out of a nightmare, signs of a struggle, things overturned. And Priya, she had been brutally murdered.
It's horrifying. How was she killed?
Blunt force trauma to the head. A metal rod was found discarded near the house, and it's believed that was the murder weapon. And the really sad part is, it seems Priya fought back.
And that's when Priya's husband, Rakesh, becomes a suspect, right?
Yes. Rakesh was nowhere to be found. And when investigators started digging, a pattern emerged. Witnesses came forward and mentioned that the couple had been arguing a lot in the weeks leading up to the murder.
So maybe not so perfect after all. What else pointed to Rakesh being involved?
Well, remember the metal rod? It had Rakesh's fingerprints on it. And here's the thing. They discovered that Rakesh had taken out a huge life insurance policy on Priya. Like a lot of money.
So he stood to gain financially from her death. So this wasn't just a random act of violence. This was planned.
Yeah, it seems so. And when the police finally caught Rakesh, he was trying to flee the city.
He was running away.
He was. He didn't even try to act like he was in mourning. And when they questioned him, he admitted to killing Priya.
I can't believe it. What did he say? How could he possibly justify doing something like that?
Well, he said that he was drowning in debt, and the life insurance money was the only way out. He claimed he had no other choice.
So he took a life, actually 2 lives, for money. What happened at the trial?
It was a big media case. The prosecution had a lot of evidence. The premeditation, the financial motive, the fact that he ran. They argued that he was a cold-blooded killer who traded Priya and her baby's lives for money.
Right. And what about the defense?
The defense said that it was a crime of passion, something that happened in a moment of anger. They downplayed the life insurance policy, said it was just a coincidence.
So they wanted the jury to see him as a flawed person who made a mistake,
Yeah,
not a cold-blooded killer.
exactly. They emphasized his confession and how sorry he was, hoping for sympathy.
Did it work?
Nope. The jury found him guilty of murder. They saw right through it. Rakesh was sentenced to life in prison.
It's a small comfort, I guess, knowing justice was served. But it doesn't bring Priya and her baby back. What a horrible end to something that should have been a happy time.
It's a true tragedy, and it really shows a dark side of humanity. They looked so happy, but it was all a facade. There was abuse and control hiding behind that.
It's heartbreaking. So just to recap, we've seen how a loving relationship can turn deadly. We've seen how desperation can drive a person to do terrible things. And there's more to uncover.
Yeah, there's more to uncover. Next, we'll look closer at the warning signs of financial abuse and how it can hide within relationships. We'll also look closer at the legal strategies in this case, especially how the prosecution was able to prove it was planned.
This case is truly disturbing, but important. Stay with us as we keep talking about the story of Priya Sharma and what led to her death.
Priya's case is like a really sad example of financial abuse. It's a type of control that can be super sneaky and hard to spot.
Yeah, it's not something we talk about all the time. What does it look like? Financial abuse, what are the signs?
Well, it can start small. Like a partner might question your spending, make you feel bad for buying stuff for yourself. Then it gets worse. Maybe they control all the bank accounts, or they tell you how to spend your own money. Sometimes they'll even try to sabotage your job.
So it's more than just stealing money, right? It's like they want you to depend on them.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're dependent on someone, it's really hard to leave. Even if they're abusive in other ways, you might feel like you're trapped, like you have nowhere else to go.
Do you think that happened with Priya?
It's hard to say for sure, but Rakesh admitted he was in a lot of debt. Maybe he thought the insurance money was the only way to fix it.
That's awful. It's like he saw Priya as a way to get money.
It's a terrible thought, but it shows how being desperate for money can really change someone, make them do things they wouldn't normally do.
This case makes me think about the other warning signs for abuse, too. Like, how can we as friends or family, even coworkers, see those signs?
That's a good question. Sometimes it's small things, like a partner putting down the other person's job, or watching every penny they spend, or even keeping them away from friends and family. We have to pay attention to that stuff.
Right, so it's not always the big obvious signs, but like you said, those little things that add up.
Exactly. And anyone can be a victim. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, or what you do. It can happen to anyone.
What can we do if we think someone we know is being abused?
The biggest thing is to let them know you care.
Yeah.
Tell them you're there for them. Encourage them to get help. There are hotlines, support groups, even legal aid. No one should have to go through this alone.
Priya's story is like a reminder that we need to be careful, not just for ourselves, but for our friends and family. Just noticing those little signs and offering help can make a difference.
Definitely. We can't bring Priya back, but we can try to stop something like this from happening to someone else.
Okay, so this has been heavy. Let's talk about the legal side now. The prosecution did a good job, right? How did they make such a strong case against Rakesh?
They had to prove that he planned it, that he didn't just do it in a moment of anger.
Right. How did they prove that?
Well, they used the life insurance policy. That was a big part of it, because it looked like he was doing it for the money.
It's so hard to believe.
I know. The defense tried to say that he just snapped, that it was a crime of passion. They said the insurance policy was just a coincidence.
So they were trying to make the jury feel sorry for him.
Exactly. And they talked about how he confessed and seemed really sorry.
But the jury didn't believe it.
Nope. The prosecution had too much evidence. Plus, Rakesh trying to run away, that made him look guilty too.
And so he was sentenced to life in prison.
That's right. The judge said it was a horrible crime. He said that Rakesh took 2 lives, not just one. He really wanted to make sure people understood how serious it was.
It's still so sad. Justice doesn't bring back Priya and her baby. Their family and friends have to live with that.
You're right. And it makes you wonder, right? They seemed like a normal couple, maybe even happy, but then this happened.
Yeah. It makes you wonder how many other people are going through something similar and we don't even know. What do you think about that?
It's scary to think about, but that's why it's so important to talk about it, to make sure people know this happens. And we need to give people the resources to protect themselves.
We can't ignore it.
Right. And we can't stop here. Next, we'll talk about what we can do as a society to fight financial abuse and domestic violence.
This is such a difficult topic, but so important to discuss. We've been talking about what happened to Priya and all the signs of financial abuse, but what can we actually do about it? Like, how can we stop something like this from happening again?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? I mean, it's complicated, but I think the first thing is we need to talk about it more. The more we talk about financial abuse, the easier it will be for victims to get help.
Right. It's like we have to break the silence so people feel safe sharing their stories.
Exactly. And we all need to learn more about abuse. The sooner we see the warning signs, the faster we can do something, right?
Yeah, and it's not just us, right? Like doctors and nurses, teachers, even financial advisors. They should all know how to spot abuse.
I totally agree. We need to do a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Teach people about it, run awareness campaigns, and have good support systems for victims. We need hotlines, counseling, legal help, safe places for them to go.
So it's about having a safety net for people, helping them get back on their feet.
Right. And it's not just about getting them out of a bad situation. It's about giving them the tools to start over. Maybe teach them about managing money or getting a job, even helping them find a place to live.
So we break the cycle. Right. Give them a chance to be independent and safe.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the people who do these things. We need tougher laws, better enforcement, make sure they actually face consequences.
Yeah, they need to know this is not okay. This case with Priya, it's a sad reminder that women are still in danger, even in their own homes. But it's also like a wake-up call, right?
It is. We have to work together to make sure everyone is safe and respected, no matter who they are or how much money they have.
We can't bring Priya back. But we can try to make sure this doesn't happen to someone else.
That's a good way to put it. This is a fight we have to have.
And if anyone listening is in a situation like this, please reach out. Don't be afraid to get help. There are people who care. You are not alone.
And hey, for more deep dives into true crime, follow and subscribe to CrimePod Castle and our YouTube channel. See you next time.